Oh my god, too busy for a beer. Who is this guy?
SBE.
I'm too
Palmer
sipped down of the
Times.
whiskey, so it's only more to come. More to come.
Election night.
By the end of the night, I'll be slurring words. All right,
Listen, I already cranked open the first one. I got.
Vince is not my problem. Get more of your people to vote.
That's great.
And I'm telling Dan the same crap. I don't even care if Dan's mad about it. Get more of your people to vote. Election night in Ridgeway.
Like hockey night in Canada, but not at all.
Crap.
Speaking of,
it's Strounds.
check the
NHL.
NHL. 3-0 Oilers at the end of the second.
What the? Why can't I?
Oh, we're cooking. We're cooking, boys.
Cooking with heat.
Cooking.
Hello,
cooking
VR.
McDavid.
Hello, VR.
More like hockey night in Canada, but not.
Nuh-uh, Mike. You can't be up here, Mike. You're on the courts team. Nuh-uh.
3-0 Oilers at the end of the second. Hereby disbar instant reality. Oh, we're cooking. We're cooking, boys.
Can I get an honorary bar license?
An honorary bar license. We'll do a mock trial, and if you beat me, you can get an honorary.
Hey, how do you
Can I go against Perk 16? If I beat him, I take his license.
Bro, a rock could beat Perk 16.
hey! I got the coffees and the blocky colas. Who wants it?
Well, thank you.
Sweet, dude.
Let me get
the LARPing is going.
there? I pinged.
When do you
There, I
want?
pinged.
Dapper, when do you
I got
want?
a coffee.
No, I got a coffee.
Okay, dude. Hold on here.
You got two?
Coffee.
You got
Yeah, I
Thank you.
got a lot.
Oh, this guy stole it, dude.
There's more. There's more than one.
Bro, it's really gonna bother me that you can't voice chat with me. But are we ready to go? I mean,
I'll tell you what he says in the group chat. How about that?
Timbo, I know you have a mic. Use your mic. Jeez.
All right,
also
he's ready.
insert needs to stop hitting everybody with a.
He's good to go.
Do we have more panelists than seats?
I don't know if Jay's a panelist.
Jay, go sit over there.
Yeah, Jay, go in the other seat. Go in the seat over there.
On the left.
He'll pan the camera over to you when you start talking.
Yeah.
Timbo, do you really not have an intro of any kind?
Bro, Jay is like an expert.
Timbo, he improvised this.
Here, I'll intro it off the rip. I'll do right off the noggin.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll get to it. Give me like a 3, 2, 1.
Let me generate something to say before I hang on a second.
Hold on a sec. Didn't we have
Bro has ChatGPT pulled up.
I'm doing mine off the noggin.
Well, no,
What about this? Sweet, dude.
Okay. I pinged. I'm ready if you guys are.
We good, Timbo?
No, I got a coffee.
Hold on here.
Everyone look at the camera.
Yeah, I got a lot.
Oh, this guy stole it, dude.
I think you typing.
BR, shape up, bro. Shape up. Look at the camera.
Oh, my bad.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the fine state of Ridgeway. My name's Taken, and here we are at the midday election results for the state of Ridgeway governor election. Today I am co-hosting with Mr. Large Titanic 2 himself. We have a panel of Jay McLeod, Just Dapper, BR, 1452 23 2, and Knott's Feelings. Essentially today, we're going to be going over who's actively winning the governor's election, who we think is the best candidate suited for the position, and why we think that. Eventually we'll hear from the candidates themselves, if they're online, if they're even alive. And then from there, we may hear from some of you guys down in the audience. So let's get into the fun.
Let's do it. Good evening, everybody. You are looking live at the headquarters of the Palmer Times in Palmer, just off Palmer Boulevard, the crossroads of Ridgeway, and our home tonight as Ridgeway decide. Welcome to our Palmer Times election headquarters. I'm Large Titanic 2, and it is just after 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and as polls close on the first day of voting, soon to open, continuing to be open for tomorrow for the second day of voting, we're bringing you the first results of these elections, which still won't be over by the morning, and we are ending tomorrow an historic gubernatorial and Secretary of State campaign. And with that, I would like to present to everybody the preliminary percentages that we do have. The first results coming in after 24 hours of voting that we had for the 2-day period, which is unconventional for most of these elections. But results that are in as of 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern are as follows. Governor Matrix is at 42.9%. And we have Daniel Reagan at 57.9%. As for the Secretary of State, we have, I generated the wrong thing, sorry. Generated a ballot instead of a percentages here. We have Mr. Alex Neptunes at 53.9% and Secretary of State incumbent Jason Bourne-Axis at 46.08%. So, ladies and gentlemen of our panel, that is where we currently stand. I will go back to Taken for your initial take on some things, and then we'll go to the panel to talk about where we think the candidates stand and is there still a path to victory for the incumbent governor. We'll start with the governor election, and we'll go back to Ghoul here.
Wow. It was like 40 to like 42 to what? Or like what was the president again?
We
Doesn't even
are
matter.
currently,
Go ahead.
and things are changing as I am talking because I am filtering votes as I'm talking. We are 58 and 41, Daniel and Matrix.
Well, wow. Pretty big lead by Sheriff Daniel Regan here. I'd say there still is hope. I mean, we've seen the same thing happen in other elections in Ridgeway. I mean, Matrix has ran what, 3 times now.
What I will tell you, Ghoul, is that I have been taking results percentages all day, and the governor has made a surprising comeback from his original position earlier in the afternoon, where he had where he was only at 38%, and he has clawed his way back up to 41. So I am optimistic at this point. I will tell you, I'm optimistic that this is going to be a very competitive race. I do not think it is over. I think that we have a lot of important things to talk about as the night goes on, and I'm excited to hear what everybody's thoughts are.
I just say that, I mean, if he's come back this much already, what's to say that he's not going to win it? I mean, it's only the first day. Still has an entire next day to really, campaign his votes. What I will say, though, is that from what I've seen, it's only been Matrix and Vincent game, really trying to get those voters, to vote for them, really campaigning, in my opinion. As far as I know, they've been in game all day. I haven't really seen Daniel anywhere. I know that Super was there, and Super was, on behalf of Mr. Daniel. But realistically, I mean, why would I trust somebody with my, the highest elected position in Ridgeway, who won't even show up to the county courthouse, tell us why we should vote for him? I mean, half the time, I don't even read what these people put out as propaganda. Like, oh, I'll do this if I get elected, or I'll do that, because half of the time, I mean, let's be real, it's bullshit. So, I don't know. I think he's going to claw his way to the top. I think he'll probably win it by the end. I mean, he's done it before. He'll probably do it again. But we'll just have to see, where exactly this lies. I mean, he's only down, what, 17%? So I'd say, there's definitely a lot of room there to, really amp up his rating.
I just want to remind our viewers that the polls remain open, and I am filtering votes as we come on the air. I am filtering votes tonight, and the staff of the State Board of Elections is filtering votes as well. As we continue to go through the process, I definitely think that you would agree with me, Ghoul, that the Secretary of State election certainly seems like it is much more of a dead heat than the gubernatorial at this point. We have a very close race for Secretary of State with incumbent Jason Bourne-Axis and his challenger, Mr. Alex Neptunes. a lot of different issues being thrown around this at the State Department. I have seen quite a bit of arguing between the incumbent Secretary of State and his challenger in both the campaign updates channel as well as Ridgeway General. So let's talk about the Secretary of State election. What do we think is going to happen there?
We pivot to the Secretary of State. It's interesting to see because the poll done last night about the debate results is much more in favor of Alex. So it's interesting to see that the actual votes are so close.
Yes, it's clear. It's clear that the debates have shifted the opinion of the people in a significant way. I think everybody here would agree with me on that.
What I'll say, my opinion about the debate was, yeah, I moderated it. In my personal professional opinion, I mean, I debated high school and collegiate. I went to nationals quite a few times. Not a lot of good arguments coming out of Jason, and a lot of the good arguments were coming from Alex. Now, the key takeaways that I had that really stick to me were both of them were just calling each other inactive. It was, well, he's inactive, well, this guy's inactive, and then they both eventually agree that some random Department of State employee is the most active out of both of them. Who is this random guy? Why is he more active than the people who are meant to be active? And why isn't this guy running?
That's a good question. Why did the Secretary of State concede that other people are more active than he is in the Department of State? That is an interesting concession.
Omnilius for Secretary 2024. You know what I mean?
I think they said that the reason he didn't run was because he doesn't like politics, and frankly, he's in a job that requires politics. I mean, he's like the assistant, Secretary of State or wherever he was. I don't know his exact rank. I know he's somewhere up there, but he's in a job that requires politics, foreign politics, domestic politics, everything. Dealing with business owners, it's all politics at the end of the day. And, frankly, if this guy is doing a better job, I mean, look at him in the back of the room. Can we turn the camera to him in the back of the room? He's putting barriers down. I don't see Jason here. I don't see Alex here. Who really is the inactive one and who's the active one? Let's be real here.
Yeah. I think we should go to some of our poll results. And I see that we do have a live feed as well at the moment from Timbo of the folks that we do have in the audience here this evening. I just want to remind everybody that we are mod protected, so please bear that in mind. I want to go to our exit polls. We do have a few results coming in from the exit polls. If you haven't had the chance to let us know who you voted for, please do in the Palmer Times Discord server. What we have of 43 responses on those, and we are seeing 62.8% for Daniel Reagan in the governor election, as opposed to 37.2% for Governor Matrix. We're seeing an impressive 69.8% of respondents saying that they voted for Alex Neptunes in the Secretary of State election, with 30.2% in the voting for the incumbent Secretary of State. So, as you can see, we're seeing quite a large swath here. The percentages on the actual results of the elections are considerably closer than the exit polls. What do we think about that?
Seems like the people don't like the current government is what I'm looking at here.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I think that people in Ridgeway are looking for a change. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
67.4% to 32.6% for the Secretary of State. I mean, that's in my book, that's a blowout. That's a blowout. Like, this guy is not even halfway at the halfway mark of even rationalizing, at least in this exit poll, that anybody likes him. I mean, in my opinion, Jason hasn't done shit for the Department of State. And frankly, for him to sit here and claim that, his opponent's inactive, and for them to both agree that somebody else is more active, why would I even vote for this guy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Taken.
Let's talk for a few minutes, Dapper. I know I cut you off there. But let's talk for a few minutes about the Secretary of State's job performance. Why do people think that that Alex Neptunes, who is relatively unknown in the political field, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe Alex has ever held an elected position, and yet he is winning against a 3-time incumbent Secretary of State. Why do we think that is? Why do we think people are dissatisfied with the Secretary of State's job performance?
Well, personally, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure it's so much to do with the fact that he's doing such a bad job for this particular reason or that particular reason, but rather that there's just an alternative. The Department of State is slow. It doesn't do a lot of the stuff that it has power to do under law. And, if Jason can't get a grip on that, then you might as well try with somebody else. If you re-elect Jason, what's going to come of it? More nothing?
Yeah, and what I'm seeing a lot of people say is it's just the battle of the lesser of two evils. I mean, most people I talk to think both candidates are crap, but we've seen what Jason can do, so bringing in a new guy brings something to the table. And that debate yesterday, Jason fumbled that pretty hard, I have to say. I mean, if it weren't for that debate, he probably would have won. I mean, Alex Neptunes, his campaign server had like 3 people in it yesterday, and he's making quite the comeback. So
it's the rational
It's interesting
idea.
that we bring that up, because one of the things that I noticed that the Secretary of State made sure to point out is that he, in his general opinion, believes that the State Department has gone as far as it can go. That has been his message. And when you look at what he's been saying in campaign updates especially, I think that people noticed the fact that the Secretary of State is sort of not looking towards more improvements. He thinks that things are running just fine, and I would hazard a guess that the people of Ridgeway disagree.
What it reminds me of is the whole thing with Techie. Like, not to get too political in regards to Techie's situation.
Too political.
But whether or not you believe Techie's inactive, it reminds me of the same situation. Is you have people who will support him, and then the people who will agree that he does something wrong, or there are people who agree that, everything's hunky-dory. But in this situation, I don't see anything from the Department of State. I mean, we had Jason Bourne access on like an episode of the Palmer Times, where I asked him, where exactly is he getting all this money that he's promising to business owners? And his answer was the Bank of Robloxia.
What?
Does that mean dev oversight? Does that mean some random person? And then he goes to say that it's from investors, some random investors. How are we sure these guys aren't getting favors from the Department of State? They're business owners. How are they not being favored? This guy has no idea what he's arguing.
Consider for a minute the fact that, and it was mentioned by Alex in the debate last night. I can attest to this personally, as I was the senator he worked with. Jason pushed so hard to pass a bill with all these different things in it.
oh my God, there's a shooter in the building.
Whoa. We got a shooter in the building.
Why did it take so long to tase him?
No.
That's so embarrassing.
I can give you back
Hold
your
on.
coffee.
I got it. I got your coffee.
Looks like security
Thanks,
sucks at
man.
their job. Can't do their job.
Dude, we just need more Pinkertons here.
More Pinkertons, right?
Anyway, let's get back.
Anyways, as I was saying, Jason pushed so hard to make a bill get through the Senate and signed by the governor. They gave him all this shit, right? They gave him the power with RSP to investigate businesses. And has he acted on that? DMing people one time. I don't know if I would say that's effective use of our government resources. Or there's another thing that he created, which creates like universal rating systems for businesses. And I personally inquired about this because I'm a sucker for some good funds, good rating. But there's nothing to come of it. I didn't even get a response to that yet. Like, he goes through and creates all this shit, and now he's saying it's gone as far as it can go.
I'd say
Kind of cap.
when I was on the county board with fellow panelist BR, we pushed for a lot of bills, and those bills were actually enacted and used. But then you get a guy from the Secretary of State saying he wants this, and that, this and the fourth. He wants the moon and the stars, and then proceeds to not do anything with it. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like Elon Musk shooting a rocket into space, and then going, well, there was no use for it, but it happened, Like, it's cool and all to see that it happened. It's nice, but frankly, if you're not gonna do anything with it, why not give it to the runner-up? Why not provide
So
it to the
let's
guy
hear.
who claims he can do what he's gonna do?
So let's hear something. I want to hear what is the message of the Axis campaign. What is their central message? What are they trying to convince us?
That
What
it
are we hearing
works?
from them?
I think everything I heard was that it already works and that it's fine the way it is, but it's not.
For what I can see too is
Say that.
from his Discord, he says a bunch of shit about we lack transparency, communication, and notable accomplishments under the Clown Hawks administration. Why is he still talking about Clown Hawks?
That's a good question.
Who
That's
cares
old
about
news.
Clown Hawks? You've been here for what, 4 months?
The Secretary of State
You're talking
claims that
about
he's
Clown Hawks?
the Secretary of State claims that he's done quite a lot this term. He says, looking back, that he's filled up the Department of State with active employees, bringing back competency and activity. He's brought back your ability, speaking generally regarding the people of Ridgeway, to speak freely and complain about us in our public chat so that we can be held accountable. He says that the Department of State has hosted business fairs and worked with developer oversight to ensure proper release of the Palmer plots. I get the sense that he's taking a little bit of credit for that, for a development item, which, as we all know, is very slippery slope in Ridgeway politics. So I question his decision there.
The only thing that I can remember Jason doing is arguing with Japan 2S in announcements.
And the last thing that he noted, the last thing that he notes is that he achieved a Department of State revitalization bill with the Senate that expanded the Department of State, which I think one of our other panelists was going over just a few minutes
And
ago.
he did nothing about it.
Neglected to utilize the provisions of that bill.
Well, I'm pissed.
Well, here's the thing about it is that he claims that he's like brought the Department of State back. It's so active. Yet last night during the debate, Alex Neptunes was able to find 3 Department of State employees who were a part of the new, like, one of them was a part of Commerce investigations, a part of the Commerce portion of Department of State. I don't know how it works, but a part of the Commerce portion of it, another individual who was a high-ranking member of it, and then another one who was a liaison that was meant to come in and help. And quite frankly, his answer was, well, these are a couple of people out of my entire department. How big is the Department of State when you have the people who you begged for these people to get new jobs, you bring them in, you claim they're active, and these guys go, well, to be honest, it was a nice look on my resume. I haven't done shit. I've been here for months, and I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. I have nothing to do. I've done nothing. I haven't been told to do anything. Sure, you could hire as many people as you want, but when there's no work product, there's no proof that anybody's done anything, and they're even admitting they haven't done anything, that's quite frankly sad.
If we can pivot, like, in the alternative here, you got to look at, I suppose, why people are voting Alex is because you look at his policies, and there's actually stuff in there. He wants to, improve the governor's rehabilitation program by including certain businesses within it. He wants to, keep archives up to date, which have fallen behind. I may or may not have something to do with that. And he wants to, bolster the public affairs division, right? None of this kind of, plans that can actually be put into action feasibly and quickly are presented in Jason's plan. They all come from Alex.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time,
I'm noticing that too.
Like I said before, we're picking, or at least the voters, at least in my opinion, we're picking the greater of 2 evils. We're picking somebody who's never had an elected position, or the people are voting for somebody who's never been in an elected position in Ridgeway, versus the guy who's been here, he's like a couple of terms, if not his first term. I don't know. He's been here for a while. That's all I remember, and hasn't done anything. We're picking the greater of 2 evils. They're pointing the finger at each other and saying, well, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. But in reality, who is there to trust? So it seems like the people would like to give... Yeah, exactly. They'd like to give Alex the opportunity to see what he can do instead of making an empty promise, the empty statement of, well, we're doing stuff, it seems like it's working, but there's no conclusive evidence showing that we've done anything. I spoke to Jason it was probably a couple of months ago, less than a couple of months ago. And it was right around the time, I think, of the impeachment of Techie, when it first went to the Senate. Frankly, why are we sitting here and allowing this guy to make these open-ended promises saying he's going to provide $10,000 to these small businesses to get them running, but then having no provisions for him and then claiming he's still going to do it, but he's had months to roll it out. This is Roblox politics. This isn't real life politics where you have to go to some random person to allocate funds, especially when he claims he has the funds already. He claims that these funds will come from his investors that invested in his campaign.
Which, that's shady to me. I mean,
that's what I said. That's what I said on the show, was that it's shady. And then he points out that he's not like Matrix, but yet provides no conclusive proof that Matrix uses investments from uses the donations from his investors to forward any agenda or provide favors. But when I question him about it, he pivots. Who is this guy? Why is he holding a position where he's to talk to other government officials when all he does is pivot? He pivoted last night of the debate. He pivoted during my talk with him, during our little talk show. And quite frankly, there is nothing of substance to make me want to vote for this guy.
You're never going to catch this guy traveling.
Well, and Ghoul, just as you said, why does he bring the governor into it? That to me was pivoting. Completely out of left field. Like,
he's pivoting.
Why is... It's a classic example of... based on what I saw in that debate is, let's make it the governor's problem. Let's make it Matrix's fault. When in reality, there's no basis for that. As you said, there's no basis for that at all.
Just a new update from Jason's campaign. He says, we're currently losing by 6 votes. I'll say it simply. If Alex Neptune does win, then so be it. But don't expect much if the guy can't even do a 30-minute log. And post a picture from the National Guard.
Alex
Neptune's getting a warning.
I heard earlier today the Department of State has patrol logs. Now, if somebody here is in the Department of State, if you'd be so willing to please DM me and tell me if the Department of State has mandatory patrol logs. Oh my Christ! Earlier today, I was sitting at courthouse. I was there with a Department of State employee, and he says, "I'm here for my 30-minute log." Are we joking? That's like saying we're going to make the Department of Justice join game for 30 minutes and sit in the courthouse. Are we serious?
I think.
And I just want to remind you, we're just going to, as we approach 10:30 Eastern, for those of us just joining us, welcome to our Palmer Times election headquarters here in Palmer, as we are going over the preliminary results that we are receiving here for the Secretary of State and gubernatorial elections tonight. We do have some more numbers rolling in.
Oh my god.
We're about to get firebombed. Oh my god, we got firebombed.
Back up. I don't know who's...
It's this gray skin.
Oh my god, wait, I jumped behind the screen.
Do we know who? Do I have a username?
Walter! Wait, I can handcuff you. Wait, boost me out, I'll handcuff you. There we go. Oh boy.
Thank you. Anyways, let's pick that up.
Too real.
Now, I mean, we can sum it up pretty clearly, folks. We gotta consider this. The fact of the matter is that some Secretary of State candidates want to oversee the various offices do their thing.
I would just like to interrupt for a brief minute. I'd like to go over some of the new numbers that we do have coming in. I am planning to go over and show these every so often as we come on the air for the second half hour of our programming tonight. We do have 52% for Alex Neptune's, 52.94% for Alex Neptune's in the Secretary of State election, and Secretary of State Jason Bornaxis has surged to 47.06%. So the Secretary of State election has become nothing less than a nail biter as we continue into the night. So, and then moving over to the governor's election, we do have some disappointing news for the governor. We do have 60.14% for Sheriff Daniel Reagan, and Governor Matrix is now at 39.86%.
Are these the verified votes, or are these just unverified, or whatever you guys call it?
Well, as he's going, he's filtering them out, you see.
No,
I just want to make it clear, I do have about 50 votes to filter still. So as I am doing that, and as we are proceeding out through the night, it is possible that the results will change. In fact, I'm very confident that there's a a significant possibility that they will. But since we just spent the most recent segment on, as we come on the air tonight, talking about the Secretary of State election, let's pivot to the gubernatorial election and talk about the debate. Cool.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
How do you think that went?
All right, before I start, can some comp lock both of the doors? The seats are full. There's no need for nobody else to get in here unless it's like one of us dies. No other reason. Besides the point, though, I think that both candidates have a very strong agenda. Both candidates, attack each other very frequently. They get into it very frequently. I don't entirely agree that, I don't believe in either side per se. I think both sides have their flaws. Whether or not I agree with one side is a different question. But I'd say that some of the far right or the out of left field, arguments I've seen are like the whole Ridgeway National Guard is one big friend group and so on and so forth. I'd say that from experience, knowing a lot of the people in that high command, none of them like each other, to be entirely honest. And that's the reason it works. That's the reason it works, is that there's a dilemma, there's an argument, there's a democracy. Instead of it being everybody agrees, there's a dilemma, there's an argument, there's a I don't like this, let's change this, instead of a
So refresh my memory. Was that a charge that was made by Dan against the Matrix's administration?
That was against from Daniel to Matrix. I don't see it. I mean, I've
heard that term thrown around quite a lot around here, in that whole friend group term, and I think I'd have to agree with you, Ghoul, that term often, now not always, there's definitely situations where we've got nepotism going on, but I think that the term friend group is oftentimes a term that's used by people who just don't understand how this works. Is what.
Well, it's either people who don't progress the ranks, or people who look up and they go, "Holy shit, I can't see what's going on in the background," but publicly, they're obviously friends. That's like saying 3 years ago when the Special Investigations Unit was at its peak, all of us were friends. Does that mean that we were, colluding with the county executive at the time? Were we colluding with site owner? No, it was because it worked. People were friends. People enjoyed hanging out with those people. But at the current way that it stands, the National Guard isn't just one big friend group all holding hands around a campfire singing Kumbaya. It's quite frankly astonishing that the sheriff is coming out of, right field and making arguments against a department he was never even a part of. A department he never even enlisted in, never fought in the war, never had anything, a lick of military experience in Ridgeway. He was never in it. Sure, he could have been a part of some, group chat between the department heads, but frankly, it's astonishing. And frankly, the way that it works, the way that I see it, is that every Roblox government, every Roblox politics, every portion of it, every election, it's quite frankly just a who can make the other look worse, who can do this, who can do that. And yeah, that's how it works in real life. But they don't have really differing policies. They both encourage the Department of Justice, or they both want to do expungements. They want to help criminals. The same hunky-dory, stuff that they always argue for. But there's no real diversity. And it's the same thing that I saw with, the state of Secretary of State. Or sorry, it's the complete polar opposite of what happened with Secretary of State. Yeah, they're arguing, they're fighting, they're calling each other inactive. But at least there, they have differing policies. You have Alex Neptune's trying to, bring all these other things in. I don't know his exact policies, so don't go off on me. But he's trying to, do different things rather than Jason saying, well, it works. If it's not broke, don't fix it. It's useless. It's stupid. Why not just have an actual argument? Why not have differing policies? Try to be different. Try to have fun with Roblox politics. It's not fun. That's why I don't get into Roblox politics anymore. I sit there and everybody has the same arguments. Everybody has the same ideals. None of it's ever fun. None of it's going to be fun until it changes. But I doubt it will, because it's usually the same people running, which isn't a bad thing per se. But at the same time, as we can see now, Alex Neptune comes out of left field, out of nowhere, and was at one point demolishing. At one point was demolishing the current Secretary of State So I would encourage you civilians to do is get into Roblox politics, find problems with the current government, and then, come out of right field and start running for an elected position.
100% go run. Everybody run for office, because nobody is going to fix issues in this community that you find except for you. I mean, honestly, when it comes to your elected representatives, become your elected representatives. It's easy. Do it.
Okay, now that that's all positive and dandy, not to be a hater, but let's go over some of this policy stuff.
Let's talk about the governor election, though, if we can, because we just,
of course. This is the governor campaigns. Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
Yep.
Let's start with Matrix.
Okay,
and then we'll go to Daniel because his is comparatively worse. Going through.
All right.
Let's
get excited here.
Get a grip. Okay. Policy 6. Your Honor, I object. Matrix wants to work to get more attorneys involved. Where is the communication with the State Bar Association? Tell me. Tell me. Like, have they contacted my one staff member and not me? Where is that?
What I would say with that.
And then second, hold on.
Yeah.
Second, a whole policy is just saying that Daniel Reagan is a big bag? What on earth, bro? Like, this is not going to help us here. Matrix also wants to focus on public safety. He wants to talk about, public safety, and it's all just, we're going to be tough on crime. Have we not been tough on crime? Have we not just been trying to prosecute people? And let's get more of a grip here. The foreign initiatives. The governor cannot control the Department of State, and we can go see that in Daniel's campaign too. He wants to reform and work on the Department of State with what authority? Now let's go over to Daniel.
We have the governor in his campaign materials. The governor also stated that the sheriff has no political experience. I think I disagree. Wouldn't you? Not feelings?
It's a political office. You run to be sheriff.
You do run to be sheriff, don't you?
You do. And let's go to Daniel for a moment.
All right.
Focus on law enforcement. This is fourth policy. Have we not been focusing on law enforcement? He wants to rebuild the trust and create a diverse and immersive experience that appeals to all players. How? How are you going to do that, Mr. Reagan? Are you going to encourage police to brutalize more civilians? Are you going to ask the criminals to nicely do non-firearm crime? Well, please don't shoot us. Like, what? Let's get a grip here. Amend fair hire laws? Yeah, if the Senate will work with you. This is fair hire laws. First of all, let's take a step back. Ridgeway has some of the fairest hiring laws that I've ever seen on Roblox ever.
Amen.
They are written where there is a multiple step process. There's competitive and non-competitive hiring. So what needs amendment? What needs amendment? Truly, like I don't disagree with the fact that some departments abuse their discretion. I entirely agree with you, and that's in the Supreme Court right now. That's neither here nor there. Moving on. Your right to know. Do we not have free press at the moment?
I think we do.
In fact, probably the biggest problem with press in the state of Ridgeway falls on TO because they haven't added them to the newsfeed channel. That's not something the government can fix. I don't know how he's going to add more free press, bro. It's just, and again, Daniel, with the Department of State, revamp the Department of State. By which authority? What are you're going to reach over and you're going to meddle in the Department of State's affairs? You're going to get impeached.
It was not only that, but, like the claims about the National Guard. I mean, sure, you can make a baseless accusation, baseless claim, whatever, right? But then he claims that if there's wrongdoing or there's a nepotism in the National Guard, that he's going to resolve it. But the only way I see him resolving it is by removing Brandon, a long-standing good member of our community who runs the Guard well. But he wants to go out of right field and say if there's a problem, he's going to resolve it. But again, the only authority he has on that is to just go right out and remove Brandon and hope that the next person he puts up is better.
Let's go back to Daniel, too. Yeah, I see him again and again in the debate. He's like, oh, Matrix is a criminal. Matrix is a thug. First of all, a little bit of racial undertones there. I'm not sure I'm very comfortable with that. But second of all, he was acquitted. He was acquitted. He was charged with. If we are using the same standard here, Daniel Reagan, you were charged with 2 crimes in 2021, I believe. Matrix was charged with 1. Neither of you were convicted, to my knowledge. So who's worse, the person with 1 crime or 2 crimes charged?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna really get into the nitty-gritties of charging, let's go back to before we split from Noosa, where both of them were charged. Okay, so if we want to get into the nitty-gritties of it and really go back in time from a different era and really pull out charges, Matrix was charged for conspiracy. Daniel was charged for quite a bit more. It was like official misconduct or a couple of counts of official misconduct. But at the same time, that's from a different time of Ridgeway. And the fact that we're pulling these things out from a different time is kind of astonishing. Like, yeah,
I think
I'm
that
all
the tones of these campaigns are definitely
A lot different.
less focus on. I'm not seeing as much focus on policy and decision making so much as I am seeing quite a bit of how bad can we make our opponent look, which disappoints me. I don't know about you guys, but
well, as much as I love a good argument and a good, character argument about somebody's character, I'd much rather figure out who I'm going to vote for based off of actual rhetoric and actual, cohesive arguments that aren't built around, well, Matrix was charged for conspiracy 2-3 years ago. Why should we trust him to hold that same office when he's been doing an amazing job as a governor? Or we could say the same thing about Daniel doing the other side of the stick. Daniel got charged with a couple of counts of official misconduct 2-3 years ago, and he's probably doing a good job as a sheriff. The fact that we're pulling out all these different past arguments is outrageous. That we're pulling things from the past and just continuously using them as blanket arguments by saying, he's a criminal, don't vote him. He's a criminal, don't vote him. How about we forget it and we just move straight into the actual arguments of my policy is better because of X, Y, and Z. And then you go into saying my policy is better because of X, Y, and Z, and this is why his is bad. A, B, and C. Frankly,
I think that I would encourage as well. I think I'd encourage voters and for those of you who have not yet voted, I think I would encourage you that if the criminal records of either of any of the 4 candidates that we have to choose from as a community tonight concern you, I would definitely take the time to look at the court cases yourself because they are public. And I think that it's definitely useful for you to read those cases, look at the evidence that was presented in those cases, and make a decision for yourself about whether or not you think that disqualifies that person from office. But beyond that, to say that either of them are a criminal, as you said, Ghoul, is an inaccurate statement. Neither one of them are.
How about
it's not accurate at all. And you know what? What's with Vince being arrested today?
I was about to say.
What on earth?
About arrest.
Let's talk about that because we've got quite a bit.
All
we
right.
have quite a bit to unpack there. So who would like to start?
Yeah, let me get into this. So I actually looked into this when it first happened. I got told about it when it first happened. In my personal opinion, it is an absolute unlawful arrest. He did not meet the specific prongs to arrest him for evidence theft. And what are we even defining as a crime scene? There was no official, cops weren't around the evidence. And
do tell him the prongs.
Don't get into prongs with me. All I know is the sticks to argument. Okay, you could get into the prongs if you want.
Well, not feelings. Let's hear the prongs.
I don't want to get into the prongs. I don't want to get into the prongs for conflict of interest reasons.
Here's the deal.
For conflict of interest reasons.
No matter whichever way you look at it, you found Seal as a proud supporter of Daniel Reagan. He has been for quite some time.
100%.
The same, hissy fit that you found Seal had against Can You Drown, which sparked the entire uprising against him, whether or not you agree what he did was right or wrong.
To be fair, fuck you. Fuck Can You Drown.
Okay, sure. Whether or not you agree he's wrong or not. You found Seal was in multiple different chats, PPD, Ridgeway General, openly calling him, I'm not sure if I could say the word, but the R word. He's openly calling him this, right? And he's openly saying that his arrests are the R word. And frankly, if you're going to criticize somebody over doing the same thing that you just did, you might as well just leave the community and get pushed out the same way that you pushed him out. You pushed a member out of the community for doing the exact same thing you just did, and the repercussions to doing it to Vince Fan are a lot higher than what, Drown was doing, in my opinion. Yes, it would have ruined a career, but it could have ruined their entire run for governor. or Matrix's entire run for governor, accusing his running mate, the lieutenant governor, of being a criminal and of
Right.
stealing evidence, of doing this. When the real question is, he bought those things. He was murdered while campaigning. Quite frankly, as a peace officer, and I don't know if BR and Dapper want to give their, opinions on this as their peace officers. I sure as shit wouldn't arrest the guy.
I
He
like to talk
died.
about it
It
from an
was his
election rules
evidence.
perspective as well.
Whatever.
Because from an election
Giving-
rules perspective, you brought something that's important up, and what you said is that, what you said a few minutes ago is that there was a potential that the arrest could have torpedoed Matrix's campaign, and that's a fair assessment. What actually did end up happening was that the governor contacted the state board of elections directly, spoke with me, and he spoke with the members of my compliance office, and our general understanding was that Matrix, just to break the news, Matrix will not be disqualified over the issue. The state board of elections decided that the situation that was in question was not enough to justify the disqualification of the governor for the elections. So just want to make sure that we're clear on that. That's not going to be happening.
Thank Christ.
And we should consider as well, why are neither the governor candidates in their campaigns addressing the fact that we have some cops here, and frankly, some non-cops, who are just assholes for no reason.
Mhm.
Like,
The
have we ever
Firestone.
considered that this is a game and it's not that deep? How about instead of cracking down on crime, which keeps our game alive, we crack down on people who are purposefully annoying and people being assholes? I don't know. It seems like a logical policy conclusion if you want to make the game actually fun.
Well, the problem is, what do you consider an asshole?
Mhm.
Me, me arresting a
I
guy for
mean-
committing a very petty crime could be considered an asshole.
Well,
Mhm.
But at the same
well,
This
time,
guy's-
let's be a little bit more specific, man. Let's be a little bit more specific. I'd say an officer who is an a-hole in any role game would be someone intentionally going out and using their power and authority to demean, belittle the civilians, and also inconvenience them. You see this a lot happening in Firestone, where you'll get pulled over
Yeah.
Mm.
in a couple.
I should have ran for fucking governor.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
I'm pinching it. That's really what it is, and that's really what Can You Drown was doing.
but again,
Hey, do you
really,
But
think
he's
that
following the
something-
law.
but again, inconveniencing somebody could just be bugging them.
Mhm.
Inconveniencing somebody could be revoking their RFL ID because they
Jay,
shot
I just
another
want to ask
person.
you, how prevalent, Jay, do you think that just based on your experience, keeping it to Ridgeway if we can, how prevalent do you think that is in our community when it comes to law enforcement officers, and how big of an issue is that, would you say?
But the thing is, it's not that big in our community. Of course, we don't really. A lot of us, we don't take things that seriously.
Hmm.
I mean, when we do want to role play, we can role play, but it's not like it's life or death or anything. Now,
I've been parked legally and had my car towed.
Yeah, but
Yes,
that's
he
not a-
was
that's-
very
that's-
upset about that.
It's not a cop thing
Oh, yeah.
per se. That could be a
It was.
transit operator.
It was. They detained me in the back of their car.
Okay. Well, that's
they
different
called
from what you
transit.
originally said. That's different from what you originally said. So sure,
okay.
but
But why
At the
isn't
same-
this issue being discussed in the campaign? That's
because
the
the-
point that I'm
wish.
bringing
the,
up.
the true
Is
the
because
true
why
dilemma.
aren't we
Cops.
talking about
Good
why aren't we
question.
talking about making sure that not only are we strong on law enforcement, which I believe we should be, but also making sure that we are smart and fair on law enforcement. I think that we
the-
need to talk about that.
The true dilemma is what's an asshole.
Mhm.
I could be an asshole for detaining a guy because I think he committed a crime. I could inconvenience him by doing that. I could be an asshole to a criminal for calling him a thug. Well, I'm very obviously joking. I'm not going out of my way and walking up to, let's say, I don't know, some random criminal. First person that comes to mind is Data Glitches. If I walk up to Data Glitches and I go, "You're a thug," am I really inconveniencing him?
Well,
Am I truly
no.
belittling him? No.
It-
But the
Jay,
fact
let's hear
of
what
the
you think
matter-
on that.
It's a little. Oh, go ahead.
The-
So
the true-
here,
true-
it's a little
okay, go
different, man.
Ah.
Here's the deal. It becomes different when you're going and you're using the law, and of course your authority to demean people, and of course also going out of your way and using your power to hurt someone else when that doesn't need to happen. Obviously, officers need to be able to pull back their emotions and, you know, make sure that they don't not overstep, but just overreact in certain situations. Because we do not need that in this community.
But
Because at some point it becomes toxic, you know.
what's a modern day Ridgeway example that isn't Can You Drown?
A modern day Ridgeway example. That's
That
a good
isn't
question
Can You
because
Drown.
it's not really a thing that happens often that I
James
see
Gardine?
here.
But okay,
Well,
what
yeah,
James
James
Gardine
Gardine.
think? What was
So,
the dev type situation?
Well,
well,
Dev
for
tech,
James Gardine,
that's
I have an example for myself. You see, like yesterday, I think it was, he was at the RNG recruitment center up the street. Just to be joking and all that, I fell off the roof and jumped onto the bed of his pickup truck or whatever that was, and he flung and was immediately like, "Bro, arrest him, detain him," to one of the other guards over there, and I was like, "It's not that serious, you know."
So
That-
as we are coming up on 5 minutes past before the release of our third hour of or our third segment of results that we have on here, I just want to remind everybody that the polls are still open. So if anybody sitting around here has not yet voted, please do take your time and go and do that. As if some of you are not aware, every 30 minutes we will be updating the results of the election as the ballots come in. We are filtering them as we are announcing these things to you. But getting back a little bit to, I think in the
James
next section
Gardine.
I
Oh.
think that, getting back to that. Just wanted to make that real quick before we get. We got 4 minutes until our next results review.
Okay.
Mhm.
Here's the dilemma. What do you expect the governor to do about asshole cops? The way that I see it as, you report it to internal affairs. How is the governor going to impose so-called sanctions or, provisions that keep so-called asshole cops from being on the street? This isn't a governor problem. This is either a LETC problem or it's a departmental problem. Sure. As a civilian, you may see what Drown did as being an asshole or whatever. But on the playing the devil's advocate, he's making it known that as a public servant, you don't get away you don't have the ability to get away with crimes. Whether or not we believe his arrest or his detainments were lawful or his arrests were lawful, the true motive, in my opinion, behind it is to prove that no public servant, no government official is not going to be held accountable. That's what every investigations unit does. We go after government officials, peace officers, civilians for doing the exact same thing. But if you're going to sit here, not you, Jay, of course, or not anybody here, but I mean generally, if you're going to sit here and complain about it, but then not submit a report, not submit a civil complaint, not report to the Department of Justice, not to report to the governor's auditor, what exactly are you expecting to happen? You're not going through the proper channels. But then we're assuming that the governor then must, or the governor candidates then must put in their quote or in their, proactive policies that they plan to impose that they're going to crack down on cops who are quote unquote being vindictive or assholes. But how are we meant to define that? Me walking up to a guardsman after that guardsman unlawfully killed somebody and going, "Hey, I'm going to detain you because I believe you just committed a crime," is not the proper channel. The proper channel is to go to MPI, to go to SBI, go to the Department of Justice, make it go through central processing, make there be a paper trail. But if we just hand it off to the governor and the governor goes, "Well, now I have the governor's auditor is then going to have his power extended through the Senate to where he can investigate things like this." That's one person. The governor's auditor is one person, and you want all these reports to be given to him. But then we complain when internal affairs reports are thrown out because they're not done within 7 days. The true question is, do we want to rule out asshole cops And is the governor's way, or putting it upon the governor, is that truly the way to do it? In my opinion, no. Instead, we need to give more help to investigative agencies, specifically internal affairs. They only get 7 days to investigate a complaint, and yet, quite frankly, that's not enough time. An investigatee could just run out the clock. He can just send one message a day, and the minute it hits that 7-day mark, contact their attorney and go, they're still questioning me after 7 days. Instead of pointing the finger and saying the governor needs to handle this, why don't we bring it up to the Senate? Have the Senate make it so it's longer than 7 days. Make it so they can go to the Department of Justice. They may be able to. I only know about it at administrative leave. We can go to the Attorney General and get it extended. But quite frankly, it's insane. How about we regulate it in the mannerism it's meant to be regulated?
Just a few minutes, just a few seconds past 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. I do apologize for interrupting you, Mr. Gould, but we do have some more numbers for the board. I'm going to quickly shoot them off to Timbo before I tell you what they are.
And while he does that, I'd just like to point out Game 6 goes to Edmonton 5-1. Go Oilers.
Oops.
Reverse sweep, baby.
Reverse sweep.
Reverse sweep. Amen. McDavid is going to carry us 100%.
Okay. Just 1 minute past 11 o'clock. In the East, 10 o'clock Central, we have incumbent Secretary of State Jason Bornaxis at 46.49%, with Alex Neptunes at 53.51%. So that race continuing to be a nail biter. We are continuing to see those percentages fluctuate up and down as we continue throughout the evening. Turning our attention to the gubernatorial election, we have the incumbent Governor Matrix at 43%, Daniel Reagan at 56.16 as we continue through the night.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a statement on the part where you said people, when they want change, they look at the governor. I partly think that's a big issue is voter education, especially in Ridgeway. Most people do, in fact, think that, if you go to the governor, he's going to magically fix an issue. But really, it's the Senate who's, helps get these laws into motion. The governor just passes the laws and sometimes vetoes laws. He's not the end-all, be-all. So really, to all of you in the audience, if you want a change in the government, you need to look to your senators. Vote for the senators you want. And if you want change done, look at their policies and vote for the person you want.
So I think we should turn now to
a little bit of the
audience. I think we should turn now and get some perspectives from the outside. What are we hearing tonight out of the Matrix campaign? Is anybody in their server? What are they saying tonight regarding what's going on?
Why don't we just bring one of them up here? Get Vincent Matrix up here.
Hold on, I need the fucking drink.
But yeah, might as well just let them talk.
Looks like we've got Lieutenant Governor Vince that has asked to come on. I think we'll give him, just a few minutes to talk about what's going on over at the Matrix campaign tonight. Senator Vince Fant, how are you this evening?
Hello, good evening, panel members. How are you guys?
Good evening.
Nice to see you.
So let's hear what's going on in your wing for the next few minutes, and then we're going to bring on some other folks. But let's hear what's going on at Matrix campaign headquarters this evening.
I'll let Matrix. He obviously is the governor, so
Go
I'll
ahead.
All right. So for tonight, obviously we got a little late start to the elections. So it kind of threw us off a little bit, but obviously that's why we're back on our game. Today I wasn't on until around, I want to say 1:30, 2 o'clock. So he had to jump on me. So that's why we've been working hard to play catch up over these past couple hours. Me and Vince are in game all day. Obviously we have a whole another 24 hours to go after tonight ends. So we're still hopeful. As you can see,
you are pulling back quite strong.
Yeah, 44 to 56. A second ago we were at 38. So that's my point. And listen, this election isn't over. We got a lot of good things coming. And my message to my voters is listen, let's get this done. Like I said, we got a shaky start, but I think we'll pull through.
If I may, I'd like to say our spirits have definitely not declined. We are definitely confident that we will come back. It is pretty disgraceful that nor Daniel Reagan or Arbentees are here to show support for their own campaign in the flesh. It's only me and Matrix.
Where is Arvan's eyes?
Well, again, with that, I'd like
Here
to
is
comment
this guy.
publicly. This is a good chance for me to comment publicly. There was supposed to be a debate hosted. I know Timbowalk and the members of the SBE debate committee can speak on this. Arbentees has made no effort to plan a debate time with me. He, in fact, is playing 5M. He was playing 5M today. And I did send to Timbo a few days ago, the same day that he said he's not available to debate me, he said that he can't come. He was playing 5M. So it seems like he doesn't care. He's riding off of Daniel's support, and he has no plans to really put in the work to run our state senate like I am.
All right, panel. Let's see which when it comes to questions for the Matrix campaign, let's have them because they're here right here.
Yeah, what do you think about the fact that Arvan's eyes is the lieutenant governor of Mayflower at the moment?
That is a good point.
I want to say this while we sit here,
Can Vince fan answer because he's the lieutenant governor? I want to hear what he has to say.
All right, that's fine.
The fact of the matter is, Arbentees has been governor of NOAA's. He's lieutenant governor currently, and we all know his history in Mayflower politics. He was renowned to be Matrix's puppet, and he's come on now and he wants to run against Matrix. So I don't know how Daniel Reagan thought it was a good idea to appoint him as lieutenant governor candidate, but frankly, it just doesn't make sense to me because Arbentees has ran with Matrix in numerous occasions, is Matrix's friend, along with my friend. And again, he has also held no political positions in Ridgeway. Shows no sign of picking up on his activity to run our state senate, whereas I am the polar opposite of that. I've been spearheading multiple major events in the Senate with the help of my other fellow senators, Knott's Feelings and Timbowalk and others. But again, I have been the face of the Senate for around 4 or 5 months now, and I will continue to be.
Where did Matrix go?
I don't know.
I disappeared.
He's
I'm here.
Okay.
He's here.
So
Anything else you guys want to talk about with the governor as he is here?
Well,
yeah, Matrix.
What I do.
I was gonna,
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, we got two. Let's go.
Okay. So, Mr. Governor, Mr. Matrix, one of the biggest things that have been on the minds of the civilians of Ridgeway as of recent has been the war and our relations with Firestone. As, of course, things are still, even though the war may be over, things are quite hostile between the two states. Are you currently seeking any relief? I know you may not like Firestone too much, but is there a way we can, you are trying to patch things over with them, or are we still going to be doing this kind of hostile dance?
I mean, Jay McCall, you said yourself every time you go to Firestone, you're harassed by their cops, and you're harassed by everybody. No, I'm not done. I didn't say it was fair. I was just pointing out what you said. That's something you said undeniably. Have you said that? Yes or no?
I've said that.
Okay, so now me continuing. Right? You've said that every time you go to Firestone, you're harassed. They make it known that you're from Ridgeway and you're not welcomed. Right? These are words that you've said. I'm not making them up. These are things that have come out of your mouth. So my point is, people who treat members of Ridgeway like this, why would I want to ally with them? They pussied out of the war. They backed out. What do you want from me? I can't listen. We're not hostile with Firestone at this moment. Like, the war is over. We kicked their asses. It's over. You get what I'm saying? I'm not looking for anything more than that. But in terms of relations, I don't see relations with Firestone, at least in a friendly manner, in the future. Bro, we've had a war with them under Large Titanic. We've had a war with them under me. And
had two wars under me, actually.
Exactly. So my point being is that it's if we did anything further with them, I feel like it would just get repetitive, it'd get boring, and obviously that's like the doom of this game, right? Obviously, it's getting boring, things happening over and over again, right? The constant cops versus robbers kind of role play, which is why it'd be the same thing with this war, the same war over and over, fighting the same people, same conflicts, same allies. It's enough. Enough's enough. We can stop here. There's no need for this constant thing back and forth, whether we're allied or whether we're enemies. It's over. It's over.
So Matrix.
Well, that's good. So go ahead.
So I want to talk about one of your campaign policies here. Policy number 2, an autonomous military. Is it your belief that the proper functioning of the military requires little to no civilian oversight?
Say it one more time, my bad.
Is it your belief that the proper functioning of our military forces requires little to no civilian oversight?
That's not my position. My position is that we shouldn't micromanage the guard.
If
right?
I may speak on that's false.
Wait,
there is civilian oversight.
No, he never said there wasn't. He never said there wasn't. So let's not.
Let's not. What your position is?
Yes, he asked for our position. He asked if
you wouldn't survive
think,
anyways.
He asked whether or not we
watch
think,
your mouth.
All right, relax. He asked whether or not we think that like my interpretation of that means that the guard needs no civilian oversight. That is not my position. My position is that we need to keep politics out of the guard, right? Obviously, I've said this over and over and over again. We've had a rocky start at the very beginning of my term 4 months ago. We had a rocky start with the National Guard, but it's really come full circle. And like you guys were saying early before, because I've been in here the entire time listening to you guys. As some of you guys touched on before, the whole idea that the National Guard is a friend group and all that, it's really not, right? Like everybody, we have disagreements between command and obviously command down. There's disagreements. Obviously, there's things we do disagree on as a whole, but obviously, they're gonna be disagreements when you're running a guard. All right. Obviously, in the beginning, I had a lot of.
What kind of political nuances were or are present in the guard that you think should be removed?
No, I mean, really, to be honest, so like I hate to single people out, but things like I'm not gonna say any names actually. That'd be pretty bad. But what I will say is that there have been guardsmen especially prior, that they do these political things on team, and obviously you have teams like Park Service, the PPD, the state police not allowing for like political and nuanced things like that on team or while in uniform, but we're allowing it for the National Guard. And it's my position that the guard should be apolitical. You do what you do on your off time, obviously represent the guard well on your off time, but there's no place for the political drama and the political mess within our chats and within the game and stuff like that with the National Guard. Obviously we mirror real life in the game as much as we can, right? As much as physically possible on Roblox, right? So my thing is, if we're gonna do that, then some things and some military traditions should be respected in regards to that.
Okay, thank you.
What I'm gonna say is that Arventize is here.
Yes.
So what I'm gonna request
let's do one more question for both of the candidates, and then we'll move on to hearing from the other side for a little while. So final questions for these two folks. Thank you, Governor, for joining us. By the way, appreciate you joining us tonight.
Of course.
I think we're getting questions. I think we need to get Arventize up here and leave Infant up here.
Thank you, Senator Vince Vant and Governor Matrix, for joining us this evening. Please stick around because we may come back to you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Have a good night.
Good.
So, my big thing here. Did you just get off 5M?
Nah.
You sure?
Nah. Listen.
Why is he lying?
Let me get this straight. So you guys gonna be talking shit in here when Matrix and Vince know that I have a medical condition and I was in the fucking hospital, so I couldn't fucking debate. Like, come on, bro. You're gonna be talking shit and I'm not even in here, bro. Damn, that's crazy, bro. Honestly.
Wait, bring Vince back up. Bring Vince back up.
I wasn't talking
Hey,
shit
I
about
just-
your medical
I
condition.
just want to take
Arv,
a minute.
you
to interrupt
know,
everybody
you
here
know.
and hey, hang on. I just want to take a minute. We want to keep this civil, guys. All right. So let's make sure that you can debate each other, but we're not going to have this be debate part 2. All right.
Arv, I never mentioned. Hold on a second.
What if you guys knew? All right.
I never said anything about your medical condition. In fact, in the SBE debate, I said that I wish you prayers and health. But the fact of the matter is, right before this, you were literally in a Discord VC with Alpha Sierra playing 5M.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, but you should have
what?
been here
For what?
paying attention to this campaign. That's so
You have a
what?
response to that?
So,
to
quick
be
question,
honest-
quick clarification
but
question.
like,
when hold on, Arv. Vince, when was he in the VC playing 5M?
Not even
like
10 minutes
3
ago.
days ago.
Like just now?
Okay,
Yes,
10
he
minutes
was.
ago. Yeah, I was.
And
So
Matter
why?
of fact, yes.
So Arv, no, hold on. Matrix,
And
hold
not-
on, hold on,
not
Arv,
only right
stop,
now.
Stop.
Not only right now, but 3 days ago as well.
Oh, we're being stabbed.
Law enforcement.
But I do know that after that you were in the hospital. And again, I wish you the best of health. Regardless,
Yes.
we are
Yes,
friends.
3 days ago. Yeah.
We are friends outside of this campaign. I wish you the best of health, but you should be here instead of be playing 5M
Okay.
when
And
you
so-
are not.
and so
can I also
let's-
add that?
Let's take a minute. 1 second. Matrix.
Okay.
Okay. Let's take a second. Arv.
Hmm.
And I know we have a relationship outside of this. I feel bad asking a tough question here, but
Oh, go ahead.
you
go
came
ahead.
in here and you told us with a straight face that you were not just on 5M. And then 2 minutes ago,
I
you
said-
admitted that you were on 5M. So which one is it?
No, I did say I was just on 5M. I said I'm
No,
still
you
on
didn't.
5M.
No, you
When
said
you
now.
joined, you
Oh,
said
we
you
asked-
weren't.
No,
That's
stop.
fine.
Stop. We asked. Word for word. Were you just playing 5M? And you said, nah.
No, no, listen. Someone said, are you still on 5M?
No,
that's
my
not what
exact
he said.
question. My
Um,
exact question was, did you just get off 5M? Were you just playing 5M?
Mr.
And you
Arventine,
said
I believe
no.
we can
Yes,
roll back the
I-
tape, and that is not what was
Yo,
asked.
Okay,
Electro, how are you?
So hold on. What's the question again? You said, are you? What's the question?
You
Were
already
you just
answered the
playing
question,
5M?
and then you
No,
backtracked 2 minutes
ask,
later.
ask the question again. Ask the
Can
question
we
again, and I'll
bring
say what I
Vince and
said.
Matrix down?
I'm not
Oh,
even
I
talking.
can come
My-
up. You said
I know,
wait,
we'll bring you guys back later.
I'm
Okay,
not
that's
even
fine,
talking.
that's fine,
I'm not.
My exact question, and I'll ask it again, but you're going to give us a bullshit answer like you just gave.
No, I
less than
won't.
2 minutes ago.
Ask your question again. Answer.
The question
ask your
was,
question
did
again.
you just get off of 5M?
And I said no. I did not get off 5M. I said no. Check the clip. Go back.
so
the fucking clip.
just because you didn't log off of 5M doesn't mean you were just on it. You're actively on it, and
I
the
literally-
entire argument of the other
Yo.
campaign is that you're sitting here, and of course, you were in the hospital. I understand. My chief, Commissioner Jason, was just in the hospital. Everybody's going off on him, right? But if you're going to come in here and blatantly lie to us after I asked a very simple question, were you just on 5M? Something around those lines, insinuating that you were either on 5M, you were actively playing 5M or not. Your exact words to me, the answer, within being in here for 6 seconds, was no. I was not, or something around those lines. Like we're piggybacking. Like at this point,
And someone check back the clip, bro. Someone check back the clip. What was the question, bro?
You said
Check the
nah.
clip.
Question was, according to the clip, the question was, did you just get off 5M? And it was asked by Ghoul. Your response
And
was,
I said no.
nah.
I'm still on 5M.
no, you didn't. You
I
just
did
said
not get
no.
off 5M.
All you said was no. If you wanted to be
Okay,
hyper
my
technical,
bad.
you would have been like,
Okay,
if you wanted to
listen.
be hyper technical, you would
Alright.
have said no. I'm still on it. I'm still on it.
All
like,
right.
Yeah, my bad. I
You're-
should have
you're
said that. My
proving-
bad.
You're proving
Now-
the entire other side's point that you're too inactive to even like go to the campaign. The guy that you're running with is on vacation. He's not here to do it himself. But yet you're here playing 5M. You could have at least went to the courthouse, held up held up a little sign, and said, "Vote for Daniel and Arventize." But you
This is
didn't.
crazy.
Okay, listen.
So, Arv, I
Listen.
want to thank you for getting on here tonight. I think we're going to move on from this a little bit. Just
We go to the issues.
Listen,
Yes.
let me just like clear myself up here.
No,
Okay, my bad.
I think we've heard enough.
I should have
I think we've heard enough.
specified. Yeah, that's my bad.
Okay.
All
Now,
right.
let me ask.
3 days.
Let me ask. These policies, the 10 policies put out in the Daniel Reagan server, were you involved in creating those?
Yes, I was.
And so you know kind of what's in
I
them.
discussed with Daniel Reagan too. and you can ask
you-
him. You can check, and you
I'm
can
not
bring him up
calling.
here too.
I listen. Okay, relax. I'm just asking
I'm
if you did
relaxed,
it.
bro. I'm calm.
I'm just asking if you know what these say.
Yes, I'm
Do
well
you?
aware.
Okay, perfect. Oh, let's start with the first one. Peace and diplomacy. Do you think that peace and diplomacy is really what Ridgeway needs?
Well, yes, I believe that we need to have peace within Ridgeway, and especially out of Ridgeway, like between communities and talking to others and making allies and state
Okay,
visits and whatnot.
And so, what do you think about the activity that conflict in wartime brings?
Well, during wartime, like Firestone was just like, being Firestone and being dumb, and
What does that mean?
so
Firestone was being Firestone. What does that mean?
as in they were ducking everything, like under Matrix, like during the war, they were just like they kept saying that they're winning, and yeah.
Okay.
Could you expound on what you're saying a little more? Because I'm a little confused.
So, as you said, like, you said the activity of Firestone during the war.
Yes.
My bad. It's 4 a.m. I'm trying to like think right now.
Okay, take your time.
I think, Mr. Evantez, I think the thing that we're trying to get at
well,
here a little bit is
so-
that one of the key things that the governor just got finished telling us is that he doesn't believe that that peace with Firestone is something that we should pursue at all. The governor said that it's been very clear to us over the past couple of years that Firestone is no friend to Ridgeway. So I guess the question that we have for you is, why do you believe? What is your response to that?
Yeah, go on. My bad.
What is your response to that? And why does your campaign believe that we should extend relations to Firestone?
At this very moment, I don't think that we should, because Firestone's been
That's not what the policy
hostile
says.
and well, yeah, I know what the policy says, but like I'm talking
So
about.
Are you
like, at the moment.
contradicting the policy set out by your campaign?
No, I'm just saying like at this very moment, but maybe in the future, yes, we can expand on that.
So you think this policy is not very good for right now?
Not for Firestone.
Okay. If the panelists don't mind, I'd like to go on to the third one, which talks about the Department of State. You're aware that the Department of State is separate entirely from the governor's office, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And so, what is your campaign's goal here with revamping the Department of State if you have no power?
Well, regarding the Department of State, to whoever wins the state election, we're going to be talking with them about the Department of State and how they're going to function, and especially that they're going to revamp and they're going to be focusing on divisions and
if they want
commerce
to.
and.
So what does that mean?
If they want to, we don't have control over
so why
them.
Why is it a key point of your campaign to try to say that you're going to force the stop? Just try to say that you're going to force the Department of State to do something when you don't have the power to do it.
It's not exactly forcing them to, but rather talking to them. So
it says you will conduct continuous audits of the Department of State until it is proven to be fully operational and well organized. That's what it says. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
but
Mr. I just had one question for you, and then we're gonna.
Yeah, what's up?
I think part of one. I think we'll return to the rest of the list of your policies here that my fellow panelists were asking about just a couple minutes ago. But I think one of the key questions that I have when it comes to the Reagan campaign on the Department of State issue is, what does revamp mean, and what does focusing on divisions mean? Because these are things that people that are running for elected offices, as well as people in positions of authority, say quite often. And I think it's important for us to understand, as a citizenry voting for you, what that means in terms of what your intentions are, in terms of revamping. What do you mean by that?
I know that maybe the words are gonna seem like we're gonna be forcing them, but no, we're just simply gonna be talking to them. And obviously, like the Secretary of State is not gonna be sitting duck.
Yes, but
So
forcing them
gonna-
to do what exactly? Like I mean, what is the
I'm not
what is the
forcing them to do
substance of it?
anything.
So how
What-
are you
okay,
changing
so
it?
What are you
putting-
gonna ask them to do then?
What is yes? What is the key items that you believe that State Department needs to change?
Well, activity, continuously like doing business audits and making sure everything's active. Talking with the other states and
Why are business audits important?
well, so to ensure that they're active, obviously have business fairs, job fairs, and that they're actually active in games since some of them have business plaza. So
Well,
Okay.
I wouldn't
So-
say it's only just making sure they're
not
active.
not just the fact that they have to be active. There's other factors as well, which is like leadership in divisions and within the Department of State.
So,
So, Mr.
just
Arventas,
as a refresher
oh,
here,
go ahead. Yeah.
you claim that you helped write these policies, right?
I did not help write, but I helped some of the ideas.
Roll the
Some
clip
of them.
back. Roll the clip back.
And while
I-
large,
Okay,
well,
check the
I
clip.
don't
but
think it's an. I
listen,
don't think
listen.
it's an.
I
I don't
said
think it's an
I said I
important. Hang on.
talked.
I'm
I-
trying to defend you here. I don't think it's. I don't think it's an important distinction because what Arventas did say is that he was involved.
Good
So I think
evening,
we
good
can-
evening, good
I
evening.
think we can leave it there for now.
Uh,
Yes, Sheriff Reagan. Good evening. Welcome to the stage here. We are 5 minutes away from our half-hour result release. So I think we'll just take a couple of minutes here for my fellow panelists to ask you a couple of questions about what your campaign is focusing on, and then
I
we're going to
have
get to our
questions.
half-hour release.
All
I
right,
have
well, I'm
questions.
going
We can start where Arventas left off. What kind of amended fair hire laws are you planning to introduce? Do you not think that the laws surrounding hiring are already fair?
are we regarding to the law enforcement section, or are we talking about civil sector here?
I'm looking at your policies from the server that you banned me from, and it says 6 amended fair hire laws.
Right. So currently, employees in the public sector, to my knowledge, a citizen actually came to me with a request saying that we help them amend the fair hire laws. So
Say
we
what?
can get just to say that he was in a business and he was fired from it without any reason, and civil sector businesses can get away with that if they find ways around the loopholes, which is something I want to try to avoid.
Okay, let's
So
go
you're
back to
proposing
your.
that we. So I just want to make sure that people understand.
Go ahead.
When you're talking, Sheriff Reagan, when you're talking about fair hiring laws and amending them, would you be proposing extending the restrictions that currently apply to departments to private businesses as well? Because that has been proposed in the past. It's never passed the Senate, but it has been proposed. Is that something that you're considering? Is that what you
That is-
mean?
That is something I'm considering. I'm considering making our civil businesses look at the same restrictions that some departments have. Obviously, businesses and departments are different, but there is a way we can find a middle ground, which is why I've promoted my campaign on so hard.
Who would enforce those laws against private businesses?
So, as of right now, I want to work with the Secretary of State, whoever may be elected, to find out a way for the Department of State to be maybe making sure that those laws are being followed, taking complaints against businesses and such, so that we actually do have a sense of where to go from there.
Okay, so just to be clear with you, we are talking about giving a government department access and insight into the inner operations of private businesses to enforce hiring laws.
Like I said, it's a complicated situation, and I don't expect an easy fix. But
Well, I'm
willing to
asking you
take
what your
that.
fix is. It's one of your key policies, so presumably you have a way to implement it, right?
Implementation takes a lot of moving parts. I can't do it myself, and I'm pretty sure that's something that
Have you
should
not
go.
thought of a way to implement it thus far?
I have thought of ways to implement it, but again, they're still being gone over, and I cannot.
And so this is my
I cannot
question:
propose-
Is
I
your
cannot
vision for
propose
implementation,
unnecessary-
sir? Is your vision for implementation having the Department of State have insight into private business affairs? Yes or no?
Again, it depends on your definition of affairs. When it comes to discipline and stuff like that, there might be a way that Department of State can get warnings and stuff like that, complaints about businesses, and then they can look into their hiring practices and even employee rights to make sure that they're being treated equally.
Okay, let's go back to your law enforcement policies. And I know we have like 1 or 2 minutes here.
We
You
just
want
got
to say
about
that you
30
want to move
seconds.
away from gun-related crime. What are you going to do to move roleplay? And you're going to compel criminals to move away from gun-related crime. How so?
So that's a very good question, because as sheriff and as the RSP patrol lieutenant, I implemented a policy kind of event where people would, troopers and deputies, kind of role play situations out a little bit more, role in partners, only carry their handgun on them, rack their long arm in the car, stuff like that, where they call for supervisors, they use the radio the right way, because it makes the criminals, when they realize that, a little less so hostile in the sense that they want to role play too. Now,
The
obviously,
criminals
not
that
every
will
criminal
shoot them just slaughter the officers? Is that the solution here?
Could we hold that thought, please, so we can get
Yes.
Let's get the
update on
results and we'll
election?
come back.
Yep, I'm just gonna send you actually if you have about 10 seconds while I send these out to the right people.
What
Yeah,
I-
I guess
what I
is
will
that the
say-
thought, Mr. Reagan, is to have just police officers be slaughtered because they're not properly armed against people with M2Ms?
Wait, hang on. I'm like looking at this stream right now. You're gonna have to wait a second.
Okay, while while Sheriff Reagan is waiting a second, I'd just like to welcome those of you who are just joining us. Welcome tonight to the Palmer Times election headquarters here on Palmer Boulevard, the crossroads of Ridgeway,